Jonathan Banks versus Seth Mitchell 2, the rematch. Well, first of all, when the fight was announced the first time round, I went for Seth Mitchell win the fight. I believe that Banks was open to the right hand, and in the fight, if you go back and watch the fight again, I went back and looked at the fight again after the shock. I was shocked at the knockout. Banks fought really well in the end, but I want you to go back and I went back and look at the fight again first. And the first round, Seth Mitchell won. In fact, the overhand right landed on Banks, and he hurt Banks badly in the first round. And he caught me again in the second round. The problem is, when Seth Mitchell was in the center of the ring, when he took the center ring, he was okay. The minute he decided to rush Banks, that's when he got countered. That's when he got hurt. And then when he went down, I mean, he wasn't out on his feet when he got up. Didn't know how to hold or grab onto Banks, and Banks basically teed off and knocked him out. So it was a great performance from Banks. Can Jonathan Banks be any better than he did in that fight? No, I'm not sure if he can. Can Seth Mitchell be better? Yes, of course he can be better. I believe so. But will he be better? That's the big question in this fight. If you go back and look at the first round, Seth Mitchell won the first round and was doing well in the second round. That overhand right, Banks had no answer to it every time it was being thrown. And as long as Seth Mitchell can take the center ring and keep the center of the ring, then he's got a good chance in this fight. The minute he decides to lose his patience and try and rush Jonathan Banks, he gets knocked out again. So for me, is whether Seth Mitchell can come back. He now knows he can be hurt. I mean, he really knows now he can be hurt and he can be knocked out. A lot of people think, oh yeah, well Banks do it all over again. I'm going to go with a brave one. I'm going to go with Seth Mitchell again on this one. People say, well, Banks is technically better, a technically better boxer. He might be, but he's open. He leaves himself open to that overhand right. And there's nothing to suggest that he'll do anything different in terms of that this time round. I don't think Banks will take the fight to Seth Mitchell. And I think Seth Mitchell can win this fight as long as he doesn't go charging in. And I'm going again with Seth Mitchell by knockout. And I think it's a brave move to take the fight again. It shows a lot of courage and a lot of heart by Seth Mitchell. He's a young heavyweight. And you can't say he's not fighting guys that are decent, because Jonathan Banks is a good fighter. And yeah, all credit goes to Seth Mitchell, and all credit to Jonathan Banks for taking the fight again. I just think that Banks wins this fight. It's probably a controversial, and probably people say, well, that's just typical of me to pick the underdog for a fight. Well, Seth Mitchell wasn't the underdog beforehand. I didn't think. A lot of people in America, well, at Banks camp, thought that the upset would have been if Seth Mitchell had beaten Jonathan Banks, because they thought that Jonathan Banks was a better technically schooled boxer. He is, but I just think that if, like I said, Mitchell doesn't rush in and he fights like the bigger man and stays in the center of the ring and he's a little bit more patient, he can win this fight, and he can win this fight by knockout, but he mustn't rush in. Let me know what you guys think. This is a controversial one for sure, but what's the point being on the safe side all the time? I'm out.